What is up everyone, Movie Way, and back again with another end of month vlog. This is just me talking about all the movies and TV shows that I watched in the month of November 2020, and these are my favourite videos to make, I'm not going to lie, because I get to talk about lots of different variety and genres of things. So they're just little sort of mini reviews, if you like. I can't review everything that I watch because it just take up so much time, and I'm not sure people want me to review everything I watch anyway. So, you know, these are just little bite-sized chunk reviews, and I hope you all enjoy it. Now, just before I get onto it, I just want to say thank you so much to all my new subscribers this month. It means the world. I think I'm on over 650 now, which is just amazing. Thank you for the continued support. Everyone who shares my stuff on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. And if you want to follow me on them, they will down below in the description, the details. But thank you so much, everyone. You know, it means the world. Can't thank you enough, because without you lot, I don't have a channel. So let's just get on to the first thing that I watched this month. And that is, some of these are Blu-rays, by the way. Some of them are streamed. So, yeah. No cinema releases this month because we were in lockdown, really. And no cinemas are open. But hopefully this month we will get to go to the cinema. Hopefully, anyway. So first up, we do have the 4K version of Deadpool 2. I do apologise if there's a bit of glare there, but it should be okay. I wasn't a massive fan of Deadpool, I'm not going to lie. I didn't love it as much as everyone else. I did like it, but I thought people were just going a bit over the top with it. However, this made me love the character. I fell in love with Deadpool in this. Ryan Reynolds was great. Such a funny superhero to have. Love the over-the-top violence, action. You know, so many good characters in here. Josh Brolin and stuff. And I just love this little get-together of this gang that comes together in the movie. Let's put it that way. I think I enjoyed it more than the first one, I'm not going to lie. I loved all the little jokes, the comedy was spot on. It was great. I had such a fun time with this movie, and I'm going to give it my pick of the month. Yeah, straight off the bat, we do have Deadpool 2 as pick of the month. It's not, well, it is all downhill from here, but there's still some good watches in here, and some that come pretty close to getting pick of the month too. But I just had to give it to this. It was the most fun I had with anything I watched this month. And we know there's two sisters at the minute. I forgot the names, but they're working on the script for Deadpool 3. So we are getting a third movie, hopefully in the next year or two. I think it'll be a couple of years off actually, but I'm all up for that after watching this. I had such a good time with it. I highly recommend this, especially if you like the first one just a little bit. I think I prefer this one. That's just me though. That is Deadpool 2, pick of the month. So next up we do have some movies out of this Phantasm box set right here from Arrow. Now, I'll just get them out. Now, last month I did watch Phantasm and Phantasm 2. So, we continued with Phantasm 5. No, I'm joking. Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead. Now, this was an okay movie. You know, the world sort of ended. Not ended, but it's like sort of in post-apocalyptic phase, because the Tall Man has sort of taken everyone to his planet now. And this was just as good as 1 and 2, I thought. I think the first 3 movies in this franchise are all pretty much enjoyable on the same level, basically. But I think this took a little bit of inspiration from Home Alone 3, because there's this kid in this, and he's got like this house that's all booby-trapped, and there's some violent deaths happen because of this kid, put it that way. So I think this was made after Home Alone. I think it took a little bit of inspiration for this. But I weren't complaining. It was probably the best part of the movie. The main guy in this, the protagonist, how he spawned this many sequels, I don't know, because I feel like he's kind of overrated. He's the main protagonist in 4 of these movies, and he's okay, but yeah, he's no Deadpool, put it that way. He's pretty bland, but yeah, Phantasm 3 wasn't bad. Now, I can't say the same for this one. That is Phantasm 4, Oblivion. Yeah, what I didn't like about this, they seem to have lots of footage from the first movie, deleted scenes or footage they hadn't used, and they just threw it in this for half the movie and put a film together and said that'll do, you know, who cares? And I just think that's lazy filmmaking. I've got something to say about that in a movie that's coming towards the end of the month here, but I just hated that aspect of it. It was like they just made this story up from old footage, basically. And as this movie went on, it just didn't make sense. It was just all over the place. Didn't enjoy it. Very, very complex, and when it didn't need to be. It was just... These movies aren't the easiest films to understand anyway, but this is by far the hardest. And I think I give it like 1 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and that's being kind. So I didn't enjoy this at all. Afraid. Next up, we do have the last one in the franchise, and that is Phantasm 5 Ravager. I'd heard terrible things about this, but I thought it was way better than 4. I had an okay time with it. It's probably the second worst in the franchise, but it's not too bad. Some of the special effects in this, though, very, very weird. Some of the weirdest special effects you've ever seen. And quite a few dream sequences. The main character I was talking about before, he doesn't quite know where he is or if he's imagining things at times. And as the movie went on, kind of like 4, it started to make less and less sense. And the ending, I had to Google it and I still couldn't make sense of it. So, kind of a... Yeah, this is kind of a weird franchise for me. Why it spawned this many sequels, I don't know. But I'm glad to own it. Don't know if I'll be revisiting it anytime soon, unless I decide to review them all on the channel and rank them one day. But can't see that happening for a couple of years, because I just can't be bothered watching these again. But 1, 2 and 3 aren't bad. But I think I ended on a sour note with 4 and 5, really. But yeah, it was still enjoyable enough. But yeah, if I look down, by the way, I've got all these movies on the iPad because I just can't remember them all. And next up, we do have The Secret Garden. Now, this is one of 3 movies that's from my childhood that's been remade. The other one being The Craft, the other one being The Witches. And they were kind of disappointing compared to the originals. And this was no exception. I just didn't enjoy it as much anywhere near. Colin Farrell and Julie Walters looked like they'd filmed their scenes over a weekend. They were hardly in the movie, even though they're all over the posters. There's nothing exciting or anything special about this garden that's in the film. The best character in this movie was this dog, because every time he was on screen it made me smile. That's it. It was dull, boring. Mrs. Medlock, played by Julie Walters, was hardly in the movie, like I said, but Maggie Smith, who played in the original, she made that character her own, and one of the best things about that film. Why they hardly used it in this one, I don't know. This was watched on Sky Cinema because it was meant to come to, cinemas, literal cinemas, but they picked it up because of COVID and everything. I think they gave up putting it on the big screen. So you can watch it on there, or Now TV, but I don't recommend it. If you want to see my full review on this, I will leave it down below, because I have done a full review on this, but wasn't great. Next up, we do have another nostalgic movie, and that is Blank Check. I watched this on Disney Plus. I've been meaning to watch it since it got Disney Plus again, because I used to love that film. It's basically about a kid who gets $1 million. He wants money. His brothers have got jobs and stuff, and they rub it in his face. And he mistakenly gets $1 million, and he buys his own house. He tells everyone he's working for this rich guy called Macintosh, and he gets his own house with a water slide and a pool, and makes a little fairground in his backyard and go-kart tracks. How he got all this with $1 million, I don't know, but it wasn't as good as I remember. But I still had fun with it. The villains in this are definitely the better parts of the movie. Every scene they're in, they're quite funny and, kind of stupid, really. Now, what didn't really sit right with this movie for me is, I didn't really see it when I was a kid, but I do now, and it's quite notorious for this. The young guy in this, he's only 11, and he fantasizes about this woman who works in the bank, and the movie kind of makes it out that she's taken a liking to him as well. She even goes on like this date with him. Now it is to find out more about his boss Macintosh, but the movie pushes it in the direction of this relationship could happen, and it was just really weird to see. It just didn't sit right with me at all, and if you watch the film you'll know what I mean, but it was weird. It has to be said. I'm not one of them who's just like, oh, everything's bad and all. I'm not one of them, but it was so blatant in this film, and maybe, I don't know. It was weird. But you'll know what I mean if you watch it again. Next up, we do have another Blu-ray, and that is Zoolander 2. Now, I'd heard really bad things about this film. It was a terrible sequel and stuff, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good sequel. Ben Stiller makes a comeback as, in his modelling career and stuff with Owen Wilson, and Will Ferrell breaks out of prison and tries to make his life hell, basically. But it was more of the same of the first one, but it's just enjoyable fun. It's a comedy you can just sit back and have fun with and not think too much about it. And I love this face Ben Stiller puts. I don't know if I was doing it right, but I love it every time he pulls that face. Enjoyed it. It was out the pound bin in Poundland, and I didn't have any hopes for it whatsoever, but I enjoyed it. Thought it was alright. Next up, we do have an animated movie. If I can just find it, here it is. And that is a sequel to The Incredibles, The Incredibles 2 on 4K. This is basically the mum's, I forgot her name, sorry. The mum's movie, this. She's like the big heroine of this movie, and the dad has to stay at home with the kids while she's out saving the world. So it's kind of flipped. Yeah, I like the animation in this. Disney done a great job. It's a good movie. It's a solid sequel. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one, but I still enjoyed it. It was still a solid sequel. But yeah, just pretty good, pretty enjoyable, good animation. That's what you get from Disney Pixar, isn't it? All their animated movies look great. The story for me though just wasn't as good as the first one, but still decent. Still enjoyed it. However, this next movie that I watched was the better animated movie, I thought, and it's not a Disney Pixar one. It's actually from DreamWorks, and that is How to Train Your Dragon. I'd heard really good things about this, but I just didn't really take me interest, to be honest. However, I thoroughly enjoyed it. This nearly got my pick of the month. I did just edge it to Deadpool 2, but this was so good. It's about this young boy who basically he's a Viking, I think, and the village don't think he's good enough to be a Viking, and they have trouble with dragons and stuff, and he finds this dragon wounded and learns to train it and ride this dragon and befriends it and stuff, and everyone can't believe that he had this in him to do that. And it's just a nice, heartwarming story, really. Animation was great, characters and voice acting was spot on, and there is a sequel that I do have. I'm going to try and watch it this month, and there's also a third movie which I'm going to have to get if I do like the sequel, but I highly recommend this if you like animated films. Might go under some people's radars, but I think it's based on a bunch of novels and stuff, but highly recommend this. Thought it was great. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, so I'd give this a watch, definitely. Next up is a TV series called Ratchet on Netflix, and this is basically a prequel to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, all based on Nurse Ratchet, and Sarah Paulson had some boots to fill because I believe the original actress who played Nurse Ratchet, forgot her name, sorry, won an Oscar or was nominated for an Oscar. So Sarah Paulson had some boots to fill, really, and thought she was great. She really took this character on. It was all in the 1940s, I think, or 1950s, and it captured that era really well. It was really nice and colourful, but retro style, if you get me. and this asylum, or this mental hospital that she becomes a nurse in, is run by this guy who's more insane than the actual inmate. So he's doing all these test experiments and stuff, thinking it's gonna work. He's convinced it's gonna work by drilling people's heads and stuff. But it's a good show. I think it's 8 parts, all about an hour each, and it leaves it open for the second series, and I would definitely be down for that. So yeah, I recommend this. Some people have said it's kind of weird and stuff. I don't know why. I thought it was a really solid series, and definitely up for more if they decide to bring series 2 to Netflix. I'm going to try and review this on the channel. I wrote lots of stuff down about it, and I want to put a review together, because I like to review every show that I watch, really, because you invest a lot of time into them, and you know it's available on Netflix, so people might want to know if it's good or not. So I'm looking on reviewing that. Next up, we do have a movie from this box set, Silent Night, Deadly Night. I'll just get it out. I've done an unboxing of this, by the way. If you want to check it out, I'll leave the link down below. And this is Silent Night, Deadly Night. Love that artwork, by the way. I'd never seen this movie before. This is basically about a young kid who sees his family butchered on Christmas Eve by a guy dressed as Santa Claus. And he has to go and live with this bunch of nuns. And he finally gets out when he's 18 and gets a job and stuff. But something sends him a bit crazy. He can't get that day out of his head, and he decides to go on a rampage, dressed as Father Christmas himself, and just start killing people. And you know what? It was enjoyable enough. It was a good Christmas horror movie. Some of the scenes in this, in the middle of the film in the toy store, I don't know why it didn't look like the rest of the film. It just weren't restored like the rest of the movie was. Maybe it was lost footage or something like that. So that kind of took me out a little bit, but there was some decent slasher kills in here and a decent story, you know. If you want something scary to watch around Christmas, not scary, but more horror themed, I recommend this. It was quite good. I believe there's like 6 of these. I thought there was 2, but my subscriber friend Tom said there was a remake, and it is. When I looked it up, Malcolm McDowell, I wouldn't mind watching that. I don't know if it's any good, but there's about 6 of these, I believe. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I like movies like this, like horror slashers and stuff, that I just sit back, relax, don't think too much. Not a big over the top story. I enjoyed it. Now next up. Sorry, that's just an impression of the the actor in this movie. Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. Yeah, this is about the killer from the first movie who seen his family get butchered. This is his brother called Ricky, and he decided to go on a rampage himself. And he is the worst actor I have ever seen. He is absolutely terrible. But I read up on him afterwards. He is so over the top. His eyebrows go like this every time he talks. Oh, so you think you know me, Doc? That's what he's like. And I heard the filmmakers encouraged this performance. However, that is no excuse for being this bad of an actor. Now, half this movie is the first one. It's just used footage again. Like I was saying about Phantasm 4 before, this is the other movie that uses a lot of footage from the first film, and I didn't like that at all. Half the movie is the first movie with little tiny clips of Ricky in this hospital. And the second half of the movie is him sort of going out with this girl and then going on a rampage. Now, even though he is the worst actor I've ever seen, he was enjoyable to watch in a so bad it's good kind of way. And I just wish that the whole movie had him in it, because it would go down as legendary. Now, it already is considered that in bad movie folklore, but it would have been so much better if it was just him for an hour and a half. Just going on this killing adventure, basically. he was that bad, he was good. You couldn't take your eyes off him. And he's got the famous line in this, garbage day. So, yeah. Basically, if you don't know what that line is, he's going on a rampage and this guy's putting his garbage out, his bins out. And he walks up to him and goes, garbage day. Shoots him. It's great. But that is Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. A terrible movie. But for the second half, it's worth watching just because of how bizarre this actor is. So, next up, we do have a movie out of this box set that I've had quite a while now, and that is Men in Black 2. So me and my fiance have already seen the first one years ago, and I kept saying pick a film, and she picked Men in Black 2 a couple of times, and we finally got round to it. I think she was just intrigued to see what the second one was like compared to the first. I turned this off years ago because the CGI was that bad, and I just had no desire to revisit it. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it another chance. And the CGI wasn't as bad as I remember, maybe because I've seen that many movies come out lately that has such bad CGI compared to this. I mean, the longer time's gone on, sometimes the worse CGI looks. I thought it was a good sequel. It's nowhere near as good as the first, but it's a good enough sequel for what it is, considering how bad I thought it actually was. It wasn't too bad, and I enjoyed my time with it. And the next movie we watched was out of this again, and that was Men in Black 3. Now, I did prefer the second one a little bit more, but this third one, I admire it for being a little bit different. It does a bit of time travel and stuff. Josh Brolin plays the young Vinnie Jones character in this, Agent K. And he was great. He was great in this. He's in it for about half the movie, but he got into the character of K so well and took all his characteristics and stuff, and it looked really like a young Tommy Lee Jones. But yeah, it was just a bit too much for me. But you've got to be careful with time travel movies, I think. But I admire it trying to do something different. I haven't seen Men in Black International yet, but I might pick it up now that I can complete the collection, and then me and my fiance sort of want to watch that one, but I've heard it's pretty bad. However, not a bad trilogy really there. The first one is definitely the best though. So next up we have the last movie of the month, and that is The Christmas Chronicles Part 2. Now I am working on a review for this, so hopefully I'll have it out in the next day or two. So I'm not going to say too much about this. However, solid sequel. Kurt Russell is Santa Claus. That's all I'm going to say. So that is it for this month, what I have watched. Hope there was some things here that may have interested you, or you like the sound of. Is there any of these that you've seen? Leave it down below in the comments. I will get back to all of you, I promise. And if you want more videos, please, if you want to subscribe, it's up to yourself. Take it all easy, guys. I'll see you all in the next video.